Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June Keys Penguin Habitat. My name's Michelle. I'm joined today with Jessica, and we're doing our mid-morning feed for our penguins. Our penguins get fed about 3 times a day, depending on the season, actually. So we'll always offer them their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, whether all the penguins eat at each feed, that is up to them. We don't force them to do anything that they do not want to do. But one thing that I am doing while Jessica feeds is I'm, number one, playing with Dee the penguin, but number two, I'm actually tracking all the food that's being eaten. We have some penguins emerging from their little condo. Each little hole that you see actually goes back to a nest box, and that is Matson and Lily, and they are a paired set of penguins. Now, they're a little early. Normally, we're still in kind of migration mode right now, but they are starting to make their habitat known to each other. So Astaire, who was one of our younger penguins, was spending a lot of time in their nest box, and they kind of took it back saying, nope, this is ours, this is where we live. So it's one of the things that you will see the penguins start doing as we end this migratory season. We'll start going into the breeding season. Now, what I'm doing is actually marking down food that our animals are getting, and that's Fisher. He's one of our youngsters. He is an adult. Now, if you notice the penguin that is that Cleo? Cleo looks a little bit different than everybody else. Cleo is a juvenile. She was actually just hatched in May. Let me get Fisher's. I have to talk and write at the same time. So they look a little bit different. They don't have that distinctive double black band on their chest. They will get that once they go through their molt. And until that time, they will look a little different. They'll have the white chest and the dark body, the dark back, and that's called counter shading. And that just is indicative of a lot of animals in the wild to help with camouflage. Now, our penguins, like I said, these youngsters were hatched just last May. We went through a nice little season with them. They're getting used to their new exhibit. Soon they will have almost the water to themselves, because during breeding season, most of the penguins stay up on deck, but the youngsters will stay in the water. If you wonder why or how we know who is who, number one, we look at the armbands. And each penguin has a set of armbands. It's a nice little bracelet. If it is on the right-hand side, it's a male. If it's on the left-hand side, it's a female. Now, each color bead represents a number. Who's this? Each bead represents a number, and that is their number for their entire life. So it's almost like a social security number for us. And that is something how we kind of keep track of who's who. Now, when we get into their molting time, these birds will gain about 45% of their body weight. And so we have to take those little bracelets off, because their whole body swells, and that will impinge their mobility on those flippers. So what we do to tell who's who on that, we look at the dots. Oh, is that a big stretch? Yes, it is. Now, all the penguins have unique dot patterns on their chest, and you can see Dee's coming as she's coming towards you. She has a whole bunch. We actually have pictures of all these, because it's like a fingerprint, and that's how we can tell who's who with the penguins as well. So when it comes to the time of molt and we have penguins with no bands on, we actually will use our what we call our little baseball cards to let us know who's who by the dots on their chest. We do it also by personality, but just to make sure we correspond the dots, because those dots never leave, even when they lose their feathers. Now, they do go through something called a catastrophic molt, meaning that they lose all their outer feathers. Floyd, it's okay. Floyd really doesn't like the microphone. Was that too? That's why I'll go off mic. And it's one of the reasons why we don't initially talk on mic when we're feeding. Number one, Jessica and I are doing a lot of back and forth talking, and that's probably not very good listening for you all. But the second is because we do have some penguins that are a little bit more timid. We have 4 penguins from what we call our the Brazilian penguins. There was a mass stranding off the coast of Brazil. There was about 1,000 Magellanic penguins that stranded. Of those 1,000, there was 25 that the government deemed that they could not release, and they were designated for euthanasia. They actually, before that, called us and said, hey, we have these 25 penguins. If you want them, you can have them. We said yes. So ourselves, San Francisco, Monterey Bay Aquarium, and SeaWorld said, bring them on over. We will take care of them. And out of the 25, we got 16 to survive. And from those 16, they got divided amongst the 4 facilities, and we have 4 of those animals. Those 4 being Robbie, Kate, Avery, and Roxy. Really important animals in our colony because they are what we call founders. They're not genetically represented in our colony. So it's really important that we share these offspring because as a whole, let me mark these down. As a whole, we look at the Magellanic species that are in zoos and aquariums as one large colony, and we are a subset of that colony. So what we'll do is we'll constantly trade penguins with other facilities to be able to make sure that the genetic viability is always nice and strong. Well, at this point, it looks like we're pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and sign off. I would like to say thank you all for coming to the aquarium because your admission does help us take care of all of our animals. So for Jessica, myself, and all the penguins here, we hope you have a great time, and we hope to see you again real soon.